So is the music really that horrible? I didn't really realize that. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. My cam seems to be foggy, so I'm just cleaning it. I noticed it just now. I'm sorry for that. Yeah. Okay. Right. It seems to be better now, right? Previously it was very foggy. Yeah. So periodic maintenance is really very important. And this is the first time I'm cleaning my lens. Okay, right. Very good evening, all of you. So today we're going to have this textbook discussion on the topic metastasis, as we discussed yesterday. So metastasis, the objective here is the same, to familiarize ourselves with the literature given in standard textbooks, and then we can see like what important points we can obtain keeping in mind NEET MDS, right? So I have gone through the entire text. I hope you have also gone through it. I shared the soft copies of this particular chapter in our Google group. So it's better if you have them. A printout is the best form, and also try to have a highlighter and along with that notes and pen so that you can enter key points or at least underline important points wherever necessary, right? So we'll just go ahead with our textbook discussion today. Let me know if the streaming is not fine. Okay, fine. So very good evening once again. So metastasis is today's topic. So metastasis is nothing but, as you know, meta, alteration or difference. Stasis means lodgement. So the transport or the transfer of a primary tumor to a distant site, and this can happen through various routes, and this can happen through different mechanisms possible. We're going to discuss all of them in detail today. And local invasion and metastasis are two characteristics which are unique to that of your malignant tumors. As we discussed several differences between benign and malignant yesterday. So as I said, local invasion and metastasis are two unique differentiating features between your benign as well as your malignant tumors. Right, so we'll just proceed with textbook discussion, page 235, Harsh Mohan. I've shared the material also, you can just go through that simultaneously. So we'll discuss only key points. Now, coming to metastasis, it's also called as distant spread. So metastasis, meta is transformation, stasis is nothing but your residence. So metastasis and invasiveness are two most important features to distinguish malignant from benign tumors. And benign tumors do not metastasize, while all malignant tumors, with exceptions like gliomas of central nervous system and basal cell carcinoma of skin, are the two exceptions to malignant tumors which do not metastasize, right? So these exceptions should be remembered, and please underline this particular point. So benign tumors do not metastasize, while all malignant tumors, with exceptions like gliomas of central nervous system and basal cell carcinoma of skin, they do not metastasize. Right? Now, coming to various routes of metastasis, as you're all familiar with, we have hematogenous route, we have a lymphatic spread, lymphatic route, and also we have spread along body cavities and natural passages, right? So we'll just go through them in brief. Now, coming to lymphatic spread, in general, carcinoma spread through lymphatic systems and your sarcoma spread through hematogenous route, but we have exceptions here, so please make a note of these exceptions even though it's not given here. So we have a mnemonic called RAISE for MS. I'll just give you the list of those sarcomas which spread through this lymphatic spread. So as I said, all carcinomas spread through lymphatic route and all sarcomas spread through your hematogenous route. We have a few exceptions. So sarcomas which spread through lymphatic route include rhabdomyosarcoma. You can just make a note of them. Rhabdomyosarcoma, angiosarcoma, clear cell sarcoma, epithelial sarcoma, malignant histosarcoma, and synovial sarcoma. And we have a mnemonic for it, RAISE for MS, like you're racing for MDS, right? So RAISE for MS, RACE MS. So R stands for rhabdomyosarcoma, A stands for angiosarcoma, C stands for clear cell sarcoma, E stands for epithelial sarcoma, M stands for malignant histosarcoma, and S stands for synovial sarcoma. So these are some of the sarcomas which spread through lymphatic route, which are the exceptions. Now, Coming to mechanism of lymphatic spread. So basically we have something called as lymphatic permeation and lymphatic emboli. Lymphatic permeation is nothing but permeating or entering into the lymphatic system, and lymphatic emboli is nothing but forming group of malignant cells or malignant cells which detach and then form an emboli within the lymphatic system. So lymphatic permeation and lymphatic emboli are different ways of involvement of lymph nodes. And it's mentioned clearly that the tumor emboli enter the lymph node at its convex surface. Please make a note of that point. So the tumor emboli enter the lymph node at its convex surface and are lodged in subcapsular sinus. And generally, we have a few important key points here pertaining to this lymphatic system. So generally, regional lymph nodes draining the tumor are invariably involved or produce regional nodal metastasis. For example, you have a particular organ being supplied by a particular lymphatic system. Whenever there is a tumor in that organ, obviously the lymph system which is draining into that organ also gets, you have this nodal metastasis pertaining to that lymphatic system. So examples include carcinoma of breast, where you find secondaries in your axillary lymph nodes, carcinoma thyroid with axillaries or secondaries in your axillary lymph node, in your lateral cervical nodes, and bronchiogenic carcinoma which spreads to hilar and paratracheal lymph nodes. So the lymphatic system which drain a particular area can receive secondaries, and there can be your nodal metastasis from the primaries. Example, carcinoma of breast, axillary lymph nodes, carcinoma of thyroid, lateral cervical lymph nodes, and bronchogenic carcinoma to hilar and paratracheal lymph nodes. And also remember, all lymph node enlargements doesn't mean it's a tumor. Right, so lymph node enlargement can also be seen in case of your lymphadenitis or because of some tumor necrotic products which can lead to inflammation. So the lymph node enlargement can be because of nodal metastasis in these cases, and also it can be because of inflammation, that is lymphadenitis. So along with that, sometimes lymphatic metastases do not develop first in the lymph node nearer to the tumor because of various anastomosis and also because of the obliteration of lymphatics by inflammation or radiation, which is called as skip metastasis. So it means an organ which is being drained by a particular lymphatic system or lymph nodes might not get secondaries first because of the blockage of the lymph system or because of the various complex anastomosis between the organ and lymphatic system. It's not mandatory that the lymph nodes adjoining your primary tumor will get drained or will get nodal metastasis. There can be exceptions. It's called as skip metastasis. So sometimes lymphatic metastasis do not develop first in lymph node nearest to the tumor because of various lymphatic anastomosis or due to obliteration of lymphatics by inflammation, which is called as skip metastasis. You can just underline this point, skip metastasis. Next, along with that, we can even have retrograde metastasis because of, again, blockage of your lymph system. Other times, due to obstruction of lymphatics by tumor cells, the lymph flow is disturbed and tumor cells spread against the flow of lymph, causing retrograde metastasis. Example, metastasis of carcinoma prostate to supraclavicular lymph nodes, metastatic deposits from bronchogenic carcinoma to axillary lymph nodes, right? You need to memorize these examples, very important. And finally, we have something called as Virchow's lymph node, which is usually asked for 2 marks, or even you can expect a question here. Virchow's lymph node is nodal metastasis preferentially to supraclavicular lymph nodes from the cancers of abdominal organs such as stomach, colon, or gallbladder. So that's your Virchow's lymph node. So Virchow's lymph node again is very important. Just underline this particular point. Okay, so Virchow's lymph node is nothing but nodal metastasis to supraclavicular lymph nodes from the cancers of abdomen, particularly stomach, colon, and gallbladder. So it's believed that lymph nodes have 2 important functions. The first function is it acts as a barrier, thereby Virchow, V-I-R-C-H-O-W apostrophe S, Virchow's lymph node. So lymph nodes are known to act as initial barrier, thereby destroying tumor cells, and also they act as a healthy site which promote the growth of these tumor cells. So it's believed that lymph nodes in the vicinity of tumor perform multiple roles. as initial barrier filter and in destruction of tumor cells, while later they even provide fertile soil for growth of tumor cells. Yes, that's with Joe. True. So lymphatic spread, we have a lot many important points to cover. Make a note of all these points and underline them simultaneously, right? So as we have been discussing, we had different routes of metastasis. So lymphatic spread is one among them, and all carcinomas spread through lymphatic system with exceptions of certain sarcomas like RAS for MS, R for rhabdomyosarcoma, A for angiosarcoma, and C for clear cell sarcoma, E for epithelial sarcoma, M for malignant histosarcoma, and S for synovial sarcoma. These are exceptions of sarcomas which spread through your lymphatic route. So lymphatic spread happens through lymphatic permeation, that is penetration, as well as lymphatic emboli, where the tumor cells first enter the most convex part of your lymph node and they get lodged in subscapular sinus, and later there can be secondary growth. And remember, usually lymph nodes draining a particular area are affected first. For example, in case of carcinoma of breast, axillary lymph nodes which drain this area are infected with secondaries. There can be regional lymph node metastasis. And also, other example for regional lymph node metastasis is your carcinoma thyroid to lateral cervical nodes, and bronchogenic carcinoma which traverses through hilar and paratracheal lymph nodes. And lymph node swelling doesn't mean that it's always secondary deposit, but also it means there is some kind of lymphadenitis because of various tumor necrosis products. And also remember, we have something called a skip metastasis, where the tumor cells might skip that particular lymph node because of the obliteration of lymph ducts or because of various complex anastomosis between the organ and the drainage structure, wherein the cells can get diverted to different areas altogether, which is called as skip metastasis. And then you have retrograde metastasis, which is nothing but again because of blockage of the lymph vessel or lymph in the particular canal, the cells are like going against the direction rather than towards the direction, and this is considered as retrograde metastasis. And they are given few examples like metastasis of carcinoma prostate to supraclavicular lymph nodes, different areas altogether, and also metastatic deposits of bronchogenic carcinoma to axillary lymph nodes. And finally, we discussed about Virchow's, V-I-R-C-H-O-W, Virchow's lymph node, which is a nodal metastasis preferentially to supraclavicular lymph nodes from the cancers of abdominal organs like stomach, colon, including gallbladder. And finally, lymph nodes are believed to perform several functions. One is they act as barrier for these tumor cells. They can also help in destroying these tumor cells, and later they act as a fertile area wherein they promote the growth of tumor cells as well. So it's mentioned that lymph nodes have multiple roles pertaining to this tumor spread. Now, this mechanism of lymphatic route of metastasis discussed later, that's fine. So this completes our lymphatic spread. Just wait for 2 minutes, we'll take a break, and then we'll proceed with hematogenous spread and also spread along various body cavities, and finally we'll go through the mechanism and biology of invasion and metastasis, right? Right, now let's proceed with hematogenous spread, right? It's streaming fine here. I'm not sure how it's going on there. Yeah. Okay, now coming to hematogenous spread. So as obviously discussed, all sarcomas spread through your hematogenous route except for we have certain exceptions, like even carcinomas spreading to hematogenous route, which include renal cell carcinoma, follicular carcinoma of thyroid, and hepatocellular carcinoma. Just underline or make a note of this point. It's not given here. It's mentioned that carcinomas in general, it's mentioned here, but renal cell carcinoma, follicular carcinoma of thyroid, and hepatocellular carcinoma are carcinomas which spread through hematogenous route rather than the norm, that is the lymphatic route. Now, after going through this basic, now let's see, we have something called as seed soil theory. So the sites where blood-borne metastases commonly occur include liver, lungs, brain, bones, kidneys, adrenal. So these are the organs where there can be hematogenous spread and there can be deposition of secondaries. So the sites where the blood-borne metastases commonly occur include liver, lung, brain, bones, kidneys and adrenals, all of which provide good soil for growth of good seeds. So it's soil seed theory. So good soil in the sense they act as areas where there is secondary growth of your tumor cells. So seeds are nothing but tumor cells here. So this is your seed soil theory, which is discussed in your hematogenous spread, and the metastasis through hematogenous route is commonly seen in case of your lungs, liver, brain, kidneys, adrenals, etc., including your bones. Now, few organs such as spleen, heart, skeletal muscle do not allow tumor metastasis, and this reason is very important. So it's mentioned that few organs like spleen, heart, skeletal muscle generally do not allow tumor metastasis to grow. Spleen is an unfavorable site due to open sinusoidal pattern which doesn't permit tumor cells to stay there long enough to produce metastasis. So that's the reason why we don't find secondaries here. And in general, only a proportion of cancer cells are capable of clonal proliferation in proper environment, and others die without establishing metastasis. And they mentioned different examples or different ways through which there can be hematogenous spread of various tumor cells, and you can just underline these points. So various systemic veins, like you have your inferior vena cava and superior vena cava, which drain limbs, head and neck, including pelvis. So therefore cancer at these sites, that is at limbs, head, neck and pelvis, can often get metastasized to lungs. So obviously you have this vena cava draining into your right atrium and then going into lungs. So any carcinomas or sarcomas, any sarcomas pertaining to these areas like your hands, limbs, or it can be even your other areas such as head and neck. So all those structures which are being drained into your inferior and superior vena cava, the primaries from those areas can be spread into your lungs via your systemic veins. That's one important point. And coming to portal veins, so portal veins are those which connect different organs to your liver, like your kidney, etc. So portal veins drain blood from bowel, spleen, pancreas, etc. into liver, and these tumors and the tumors of these organs like bowel, spleen and pancreas can get drained into your liver through your portal system. And then you have arterial spread. Usually arteries, they are less likely to spread or to cause lodgement or travel of your tumor cells because they are elastic, thick walled, which resist the permeation of your tumor cells. But capillaries, which are thin walled, they allow penetration of your tumor cells. So arterial spread of tumors is less likely because they are thick-walled and elastic, which are resistant to invasion. However, pulmonary capillary bed or through pulmonary arterial branches, which are thin-walled, they promote your tumor spread. And cancer of lung may, however, metastasize from by this pulmonary arterial route to kidneys, adrenals, bones, brains, etc. And finally, you have your retrograde spread by blood route, which may occur at unusual sites. So important examples for retrograde spread, retrograde hematogenous spread include vertebral metastasis in cancers of thyroid and prostate. It's unfortunate that you need to remember lot many examples, but you don't have any other alternative, right? So just memorize these examples. So you need to just enter them in your notes. That's it. That completes, and through repeated revision, you can easily remember all these things, right? So now, coming to the gross appearance and microscopic appearance of these blood-borne metastases, which happens in various organs. Gross appearance includes multiple rounded nodules of varying size scattered throughout the organ, which is represented in your figure 1913. And microscopically, there can be various grades of differentiation which are subject to local environment. The local environment is favorable, then there will be better differentiation, or if it is not favorable, there can be poor differentiation and your secondaries might not resemble your primaries. So there is incomplete or lack of differentiation, which is also considered as aplasia, a characteristic feature of your malignant tumors, right? So various hematogenous spread, various hematogenous routes of spread mentioned include, there can be spread to various organs like brain, lungs, bones, kidneys and adrenals, and there are various ways of spread in hematogenous route. You often have these systemic veins which drain various limbs, head and neck to your heart and then lungs. So primaries from these areas can get lodged in your lung, and also you have portal circulation which drain organs like spleen, and also you have your bowel and pancreas which drain into liver. So primaries in those areas can get lodged into your liver via your portal circulation. And there can be arterial spread, which is even arteries comparatively are more resistant because they are thick wall, they are resistant to invasion of these tumor cells. In fact, tumor cells, they have this property of metastasis because they degrade extracellular matrix using various enzymes, degrading enzymes, extracellular matrix degrading enzymes, and then they enter into the circulation. Since arteries are thick walled, they are comparatively resistant to this kind of invasion, except for pulmonary arteries which are thin walled, and there can be spread of cancers of lung via pulmonary artery route to either kidneys, adrenals, bone and brain. And finally, they have mentioned about retrograde spread, where there is reverse flow of tumor cells. Example, vertebral metastasis in cancers of thyroid and prostate. And also they have mentioned the gross appearance and microscopic appearance of these tumor invaded metastatic organs like your bones, your kidneys, brain, etc. Right? So this completes hematogenous route. Then we'll proceed with the third main route, that is your spread along your body cavities and also spread along your epithelial surfaces. Right? Yes. Retrograde hematogenous route, vertebral metastasis in case of cancers of thyroid and prostate. Yes. Yes, Gina. Fine. So finally, you have your spread along body cavities and natural passages, right? So body cavities and natural passages, we'll just go through it. So we have spread either through your lymphatic system, hematogenous route, and also through your CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. There can also be spread along your coelomic cavities like pleural cavity, pericardial cavity or peritoneal cavity, and also there can be spread along epithelium line surfaces, and also there can be direct implantation, lower lip carcinoma spreading to upper lip, or even surgeon by accident or through a scalpel or various other instruments. Very rarely there can be implantation of your tumor cells. So coming to transcoelomic spread, examples, peritoneal cavity is most commonly involved, but also occasionally pleural cavity as well as pericardial cavities, right? And also we have various examples for transcoelomic spread mentioned include carcinoma of stomach seeding into ovaries, which is called as Krukenberg tumor. I'll just type the spelling here, Krukenberg tumor. Yes. So Krukenberg tumor is carcinoma of stomach seeding into your ovaries, and then you have your carcinoma of ovaries spreading to entire peritoneal cavity, and then you have pseudomyxoma peritonei, carcinoma of bronchus and breast seeding to pleura and pericardium. So we have few examples mentioned here which come under transcoelomic spread, mainly involving your peritoneal cavity and even other cavities like your pericardial and pleural cavities. One example is Krukenberg tumor and carcinoma of ovaries spreading to your peritoneal cavity as such, and also carcinoma of bronchus and breast seeding to pleural and pericardium. Few examples. And then coming to spread along epithelial surfaces. In fact, spread through your epithelial surfaces is very difficult as epithelium is intact and they resist the permeation or penetrability or invasion of your tumor cells. So it's unusual for a malignant tumor to spread along the epithelial line surfaces because intact epithelium and mucus are quite resistant. Epithelium and the mucus coating are quite resistant to penetration by tumor cells. However, there can be exceptionally malignant tumors which can spread through epithelium, such as the fallopian tube from the endometrium to ovaries or vice versa. They mentioned an example for epithelial line surface spread. So in fact, 3 examples. So, however, exceptionally, a malignant tumor may spread through the fallopian tube from the endometrium to ovaries and vice versa. And also there can be spread through the bronchus in alveoli and spread through uterus from kidney into lower urinary tract. So ureter, I'm sorry, not uterus. Ureter can act as your pathway, epithelial line surface as a pathway for spread of your tumor, and also your bronchus and also your fallopian tube, which can go ahead with allowing transmission or transportation of your tumor cells, right? Now, coming to spread via cerebrospinal fluid, various malignant tumors of ependyma, leptomeninges, they can release the tumor fragments into CSF, and these can get lodged into different parts of brain via cerebrospinal fluid. So tumors of ependyma and leptomeninges. And finally, implantation. So a tumor may spread by implantation by surgeons' scalpels, needles, sutures, or may be implanted by direct contact, such as transfer of cancer of lower lip to the opposing upper lip. So these are some of the means of spread. So we have broadly 3 means of spread, and before that we have this broad characteristics which are unique for your malignant tumors, which include your local invasiveness as well as your metastasis. Metastasis is nothing but your distant spread. So you have lymphogenous route or lymphatic spread, hematogenous route, and spread through body cavities and natural passages. And finally, before going into the mechanism of biology of invasion in metastasis, we'll just take a 2-minute break and then we'll proceed. So what is that happening there? Yeah, you mean about exception. So all carcinomas spread through lymphatic route except renal cell carcinoma, follicular carcinoma of thyroid, and hepatocellular carcinoma. Yes, Neetu. Right. And all sarcomas except we have this race for MS as a mnemonic. And then there are one diagram of 1915 where they have beautifully represented different means and mechanisms by which there is in fact metastasis. We'll just go through that in brief. That completes our topic, and then we can go into the questions. So mechanism and biology of invasion and metastasis. So as we discussed previously, for tumor cells to have this property of metastasis, it has to pass through several barriers. First of all, tumor cells should break the epithelium lining the tumor itself or the group of cells itself, and then it has to enter into the lymphatic or the connective tissue which is intervening between the blood vessel and the tumor cells, and then they have to enter into the blood vessel via the epithelium. So they have to in fact crack 3 entrances. So extracellular matrix at 3 levels has to be dissolved for the tumor to spread. So the first one is basement membrane of the tumor itself. The second one is interstitial connective tissue, and the third one is basement membrane of microvasculature. So they have mentioned different mechanisms. Just go through the different names, and if at all any points you can underline them. That's it, right? So coming to the first mechanism, aggressive clonal proliferation and angiogenesis. So in fact, when a tumor is growing, we have lot many cells in there. There is a subpopulation or group of cells which are considerably more aggressive, right? It can be because of genetic changes or whatever. So that aggressive clonal proliferation and also angiogenesis play an important role, because once there is angiogenesis of blood vessel formation, that acts as a fertile area wherein the tumor cells grow, and simultaneously the cells can get lodged or can get incorporated into the blood vasculature, thereby promoting the spread, right? So angiogenesis and aggressive clonal proliferation are implicated in one of the mechanisms of your tumor invasion or metastasis. Now, second factor is tumor cell loosening. In fact, normal healthy cells, they are all having this cell adhesion molecule such as E-cadherin. E-cadherin, I'll just type out the spelling. E-cadherin is nothing but a cell adhesion molecule which is present in a normal case scenario, but in case of your tumor cells, these proteins or intercellular binding substances are lost. As a result, the tumor cells become loosened and they start dissipating. So tumor cell loosening happens because of inactivation of E-cadherin and other various cell adhesion molecules, which leads to the loosening of your cancer cells. Now, coming to the third factor, tumor cell extracellular matrix interaction, that is ECM interaction. They mentioned that these loosen, so it's like a story. So first of all, there is aggressive growth of tumor cells, and after this aggressive growth there is loosening of the cells, and these loosened cells will attack the extracellular matrix by releasing various enzymes, and then they degrade the matrix, and then from there they enter into the capillary lumen, and from there they have this property of forming thrombus. There is thrombus formation. The moment any foreign substance enters into the blood vessel, there is a thrombus formation which protects the tumor cells in fact, and from there will be extravasation of tumor cells from that blood vessel at the target organ, and ultimately there is survival and growth of metastatic deposit provided the local environment is conducive there. So you have a primary tumor in one area, and then it spreads rapidly. I mean it grows rapidly. We have aggressive proliferation, and from there is entry into the various blood vessels, and from there different depends upon the different route. It can be lymphatic spread or your hematogenous spread. So from there it enters into the blood vessel, and then from there it extravasates and then forms deposits, and this is being mentioned in various sequential steps. So far we have seen aggressive clonal proliferation and angiogenesis, followed by tumor cell loosening because of inactivation of E, cadherin and other various cell adhesion molecules, and also there is tumor cell ECM interaction. So loosened cancer cells are now attached to extracellular matrix proteins, mainly laminin and fibronectin. Just underline these points. ECM proteins like laminin and fibronectin are attached by your tumor cells. And then there is fourth aspect, degradation of ECM because of release of various proteases as well as metalloproteinases by your tumor cells. And these enzymes include collagenases and gelatinases. That's it. Underline that particular point. And then from there, the tumor cells enter into your capillary lumen through autocrine motility factor, cleavage products of matrix components which help in cell chemotaxis, growth promotion and angiogenesis. And finally there is thrombus formation. So thrombus, as I said, the moment any foreign substance enters into your blood vessel, there will be clot formation, and this thrombus provides nourishment to the tumor cells and also protects the tumor cells from getting destroyed by your natural body killer cells. And then from there is extravasation of tumor cells. So where is tumor cells? They extravasate mechanically. You can have the exclamation here given that tumor cells in circulation may mechanically block the vascular channels and attach to vascular endothelium. In this way, the sequence similar to local invasion is repeated and the basement membrane is exposed. So it's being mentioned that a tumor which is growing, for that to enter into a blood vessel, we have seen some of the sequential events that are happening, and again the same sequence is being repeated when the tumor cells from the blood vessel are extravasated and they're trying to enter a particular area. So again there will be some interaction between the cells and the ECM of that particular target area. Again there will be degradation of matrix, and then tumor cells enter and get lodged over there. And finally, survival and growth of metastatic deposits. And the extravasated malignant tumor cells, they get lodged, and various growth factors including PDGF, FGF, TGF, beta, VEGF, they help in promoting the growth of these tumor cells. And metastatic deposits may further metastasize to same organ or to different sites by forming various emboli. So to briefly summarize the various mechanisms of your metastasis. So initially there is aggressive clonal proliferation and angiogenesis which promote this metastasis, following which there can be tumor cell loosening because of inactivation of E, cadherin and various other cell adhesion molecules, following which there can be tumor cell which is loosened now will interact with your extracellular matrix via laminin and fibronectin, and from there they overexpress certain enzymes like proteases and metalloproteinases, thereby leading to degradation of the matrix. And then finally the tumor cells enter into the capillary lumen. So they enter into the capillary lumen via certain factors like autocrine motility factor, cleavage products of matrix components also help in providing cell chemotaxis. And finally, once they enter blood vessel, they have this thrombus formation which provides nutrition for the tumor cells and also protects the tumor cells from the body's defense mechanisms. And from there, in fact, it's mentioned that a very small proportion of malignant cells in the blood stream, they survive to develop into metastasis. Most of the tumor cells are destroyed when they enter the blood, but only 0.1% of metastatic deposits are able to survive, and these can lead to metastasis. And then finally, in the blood vessel, from there can be extravasation of tumor cells because of the mechanical blockage of your capillary vessels. And finally, we have the reverse mechanism, like once in your primary tumor, where your primary tumor is, from there, what is the mechanism that leads to spread of this primary tumor into your vasculature? The same mechanism is applied when your tumor cells in your vasculature are trying to enter a different area altogether, in reversal of events. And finally, there is survival and growth of your metastatic deposits, and it mainly depends upon the local environment, and various growth factors are also implicated in enabling the survival of these tumor cells. And finally, they are mentioned certain prognostic markers. You can just underline a few points here. Prognostic markers are those markers which indicate the prognosis or the response of that particular tumor to treatment. So clinical prognostic markers, as we have seen TNM staging in one of the videos previously. So that comes under a prognostic marker, right? So clinical prognostic markers depend upon the size, grade, vascular invasion, and nodal involvement by the tumor, T, N, and M, which we discussed previously. And also we have various molecular prognostic factors like expression of an oncogene. Oncogene is a gene which codes or which promotes cancer formation. So expression of either oncogene, CD44 molecule, estrogen receptors, epidermal growth factor receptor, angiogenesis factors, and MAGNA. MAGNA stands for metastasis associated gene or nucleic acid. So presence of these molecules on the surface of tumor cells is a very bad sign. In fact, the prognosis is going to be very poor because there are more chances for metastasis. So we have clinical prognostic markers and your molecular prognostic markers. So clinical prognostic markers, as you know, size, grading, hematogenous spread, or different modes of spread in nodal involvement, and also the size of your tumor. Whereas molecular prognostic markers indicate poor prognosis in certain specific tumors, which include expression of an oncogene by tumor cells, CD44 molecule, estrogen receptors, epidermal growth factor receptor, angiogenesis factors, degree of neovascularization, and finally MAGNA, expression of metastasis associated gene or nucleic acid, MAGNA. So these are poor, when these are present, it means a poor prognosis for your a particular treatment because of a particular tumor. So this completes, and then we have your grading and staging of cancer, which we had discussed previously also, right? So this is metastasis. A memory-based concept is very simple, but the most challenging aspect here is to remember the examples. So I just suggest you to just underline those examples and exceptions, and then memorize them once and twice and thrice. It will be easier for you, right? You have to have them recorded in your notes so that you can revise just before exam. No matter how much specific you are, no matter how much focus you put on now to memorize this, it's good, it's fantastic, but you need to revise such topics before exam to have that confidence, because we have this tendency to forget, especially these memory based, which are not based on logic, which are based purely on memory, right? So underline these areas, make a note of these examples in specific, all the exceptions and few examples of various routes in your notes, and that makes your job very easy. And you can complete off this topic in less than 10-15 minutes if you have a proper notes, right? So this completes our topic. You have any questions, do let me know. Then we'll proceed with some of the MCQs, right? Yeah. Too fast because topic is so extensive. I just wanted to speak very fast so that I can complete it, because it's more of a memory based. So there is nothing really to explain here, not purely based on logic. It's mostly memory based. So I tried to wind it up very fast. Okay. Because frankly, I'm trying to divide my day and allot time for other activities also. In fact, we have to do a lot many recorded videos. So that's the reason why I decided not to conduct live session for more than 20-30 minutes. But it's really becoming increasingly challenging for me to complete off in 20-30 minutes. So what we'll do is we'll try to either reduce the quantity or we'll try to break the particular topic into number of sessions so that we can allot minimum time. We still have a lot to do, exams are approaching, so we're trying to use our time even more productively, because I've noticed that 1.5 hour, 2 hours of live session and 2 hours before live and 2 hours after live, I'm literally spending around 5 to 6 hours more or less on live sessions. So I just wanted to decrease the quantity, at the same time increase the quality, isn't it? So rather than reading the entire text given in here, I thought like I could just focus on only the key points, and I have highlighted only the key points. If you don't like this format, do let me know. We'll try to change it and we'll get back with a new format possible. Yes, that's the reason why I shared the material also, so that you can just have a look simultaneously, or you can get a printout and you can underline the points, isn't it? Yes. Because we still have a lot to cover. In fact, that's what I said. As I mentioned, I'm losing literally 5 to 6 hours on 1 hour live session. So I'm trying to minimize it. I'm trying to, so that I can use the same time for other things. Like I can create new MCQs, I can create new recorded videos. We can even plan different things altogether, right? That's the reason why I've completed yesterday's session in less than 20 minutes, if you had noticed it. Yes, Bernice. Yes. Definitely, we'll have more recorded videos. Okay, Regina, glad to hear that. Anyways, I've been sharing, right? Yeah. So, I've made a little difference. As I said, I haven't gone through the entire text. As you can see, we have just underlined important points, only the examples part or important key points, and I've tried to only read and explain you those key points, right? So we'll just proceed with textbook multiple choice questions, right? Yeah. I hope you understand and I hope you cooperate. Thank you. Okay. Yes, Abhishek. I've done it. After this lymphatic spread and hematogenous spread. So that's the reason why I haven't summarized again at the end. So let me know, without any options, 2 important features to distinguish malignant from benign tumors. Niharika, are you following text simultaneously for this textbook discussion? Because it's not a virtual classroom session, right? Virtual classroom session, the concept will be different. But are you following a textbook reference while following or while attending this session? Only if you have a soft copy or hard copy of the text, then it will be easy for you to follow. Because there is nothing really to explain in examples, right? Examples, you need to memorize them. Loss of function, we cannot specify that, because Ajaj, loss of function can be there, or there can be retention of function, or there can be any abnormal function. So that cannot be mentioned as such, but we can say two important characteristics, as most of you have been mentioning. One is invasion into adjacent areas, the lesions are not circumscribed, and also metastasis, characteristic feature of your malignant tumors, with the exception of gliomas of central nervous system, and you have your basal cell carcinoma of skin. They mentioned these two examples as your malignant tumors without metastasis, right? Yes, Dhanlakshmi. Yes, Ajaj, right. So second question, routes of metastasis include all except lymphatic spread, hematogenous spread, transcoelomic spread, and option D, CSF. So the answer is nothing. So all are routes of a metastasis, right? This is only to test you. We have no answer here. So hematogenous route, we have seen several tumors. Lymphatic spread also. Transcoelomic spread, we have discussed about Krukenberg tumor from your ovaries and to your, Krukenberg tumor is nothing but spread of your tumor cells from the stomach to your ovaries, right? And also transcoelomic spread, example is carcinoma of ovaries spreading to your entire peritoneal cavity, or carcinoma of bronchus and breast which are seeding to the pleura or pericardium. So transcoelomic is nothing but other cavities in the body like your peritoneal cavity, pericardial and pleural cavity, right? So that's what I've been explaining, transcoelomic spread. Transcoelomic means certain cancers invading the serosal wall of ceromic cavities, which include your peritoneal cavity, pericardial and pleural cavities. In the examples, Krukenberg tumor, carcinoma of stomach seeding to ovaries, and ovaries to peritoneal cavity, carcinoma of bronchus and breast to your pericardial cavity or pleural cavity, right? And CSF, we have tumors of ependyma and leptomeninges spreading via CSF to different parts of your brain, right? So answer is nothing, none. All are roots, as few of you rightly mentioned. And Shilpa Jain, I'm trying to contact you. I think you got you're a winner, right? Second prize. So please drop your postal address to my mail ID so that we can send you the gift, right? Shilpa Jain, do it as fast as possible. So skip metastasis refers to option A, retrograde spread of tumor cells, option B, metastasis to vitreous lymph nodes, option C, metastasis leading to lymphadenitis, option D, non-development of lymphatic metastasis in lymph nodes nearest to the tumor. So skip metastasis. So skip metastasis is nothing but non-development or no regional lymph node involvement in the nodes which are in close proximity to the primary tumor. Skip metastasis. This can happen because of anastomosis that exists between your primary tumor area and your lymph node, which can lead to deviation of the tumor cells. And also the other reason attributed is narrowing of your vessels, lymphatic vessels, because of inflammation, right? So skip metastasis is non-development of lymphatic metastasis in lymph node nearest to your tumor because of anastomosis or due to obliteration. Option D is the right answer. Now, fourth question, you have two statements. Statement 1. Blood-borne metastasis is common route for carcinomas except renal cell carcinoma. Statement 2. Blood-borne metastasis commonly occur at liver, lungs, brain, bone, kidney and adrenals. So let me know which is true, which is false, or both are true or both are false. Yes. So blood-borne metastasis is common route for sarcomas but not carcinomas, but except renal cell carcinoma, hepatocellular carcinoma and your carcinoma of your thyroid, right? Follicular carcinoma of thyroid, they have hematogenous spread. So renal cell carcinoma, that part is true, but blood-borne metastasis in general is by your sarcomas, right? So obviously statement 2, blood-borne metastasis commonly occurs at your liver, lungs, brain, bone, kidney and adrenals, or those organs which have this plenty of systemic circulation, right? Yeah. Now, good. So first statement is false and second is true. Coming to fifth question, you have assertion and reason. Assertion: arterial spread and spread along epithelium for tumor cells is less likely. Reason: thin walls of arteries and intact epithelium are quite resistant to penetration by tumor cells. So let me know which is true and which is false. Also let me know whether the reason is justifying the assertion. Yes, assertion. Artery spread. Okay, arterial spread and spread along epithelium for tumor cells is less likely because arteries are thick-walled and your epithelium and is intact with surface mucous scarring, which are considerably resistant to your penetration of your tumor cells. But we have these pulmonary arteries, pulmonary capillaries, which are relatively very thin, so there can be your invasion of tumor cells in case of your pulmonary capillaries and can lead to spread of your tumors, isn't it? So arterial spread may occur when tumor cells pass through pulmonary capillary bed or through pulmonary arterial branches which have thin walls. Examples: cancers of lung spreading via pulmonary arterial route to kidneys, adrenals, bones, brain, etc. Right? So assertion is true, reason is false. Exactly, Pragati, you're right. So we'll have one final question. All of the following are mechanisms involved in spread of tumor cells except degradation of extracellular matrix by release of various proteases and metalloproteinases like collagenases. B. Extravasation of tumor cells from the blood vessel into the tissue through blockage. And C. Thrombus formation, which protects the tumor cells as well as provides nutrient media and promotes the growth of tumor cells. And D. Loosening of tumor cells because of inactivation of certain cell adhesion molecules like E-cadherin. So which one is not a mechanism for spread of tumor? Okay, but few of you gave me options, right? Yeah. So all the options mentioned here that mechanisms involved in spread of tumor cells. Okay, let me just ask you one question. Right, so I'll just give you some terms as I've been asking yesterday. What is angioma? Because to overcome smart people, obviously I have to play some tricks, right? Or else it's difficult to handle you all. So what is angioma? Tell me whether it's benign tumor or malignant tumor. Angioma. So Preeti says it's swelling. Angioma is nothing. What is that nothing, Bernice? Malignant tumor. Okay, so so you can't have nothing in all the occupations, right? It's angioma, it's a benign tumor of blood vessel. Then what is malignant tumor of blood vessel called? Benign tumor is angioma. Then what is malignant tumor of blood vessel called? No, that's different. Okay, I'll ask you, Bernice. Right. Yes, angiosarcoma. Okay. Then what is fibroma? We discussed the same yesterday, right? Fibroma. Okay, fibroma and fibrosarcoma, fine. Then what is granuloma? We discussed this the same one yesterday, granuloma. Granuloma is nothing but a chronic inflammation, right? Okay. Now, what is hematoma? Hematoma. So granuloma is not a tumor. Granuloma is only mere collection of your chronic inflammatory cells, right? We have these epithelioid cells, your rim of lymphocytes, right? So we have your central caseating necrosis. So we have all these chronic inflammatory features, right? Granulation tissue, granuloma. Granulation tissue again is different. I mean, it's a part and parcel of your healing. So we cannot combine that here. So granuloma is not a tumor, whereas hematoma is also not a tumor. It's a collection of your blood, right? Hematoma. Now, what is the difference between it's buffering again here. Okay, what is the difference between carcinoma and carcinoma in situ? Yes, Ajaj, you're right. What is the difference between carcinoma and carcinoma in situ? Yes, Pragati seems to be answering the previous questions. Just refresh your page, Pragati. Maybe you'll join us live. Richa, you also. Yes, Sophia. So carcinoma, as you all know, right, malignancy. So carcinoma in situ. Malignant cells confined to epithelium without invasion of your basement membrane. Yes. Malignant cells confined to epithelium without invasion of your basement membrane is your carcinoma in situ. Yes, it can be considered as an early stage in cancer. Yes, Shilpa. And one final question, I'll just type it here. Yes. Yes, Saptarshi, you're right. Yes, Pragati. Dysplastic changes, okay. It has something to do with invasion of your basement membranes. So, final question. So which of the following is not used for grading and staging cancer? Grade 1 to 4, TNM staging, AJC. Yes, American Joint Committee, AJC. So the answer is, even American Joint Committee, we have this grade 0 to 4. So all of them are used for grading and staging of your tumors, except option, there is no answer. All the three are used. So none is the right answer. Right? So option D is the right answer. Exactly. Okay. I know this topic is very challenging. I know I couldn't really engage you into the topic today, but it's because of the challenge of memory here we have. So that's the reason why I said have your soft or hard copy. It will be easier for you to follow. As Regina rightly mentioned, that's the reason why we have been sharing the material in our Google group also, so that it will be easier for you to follow the textbook discussions. Merely listening, it makes it challenging, right? If it's a virtual classroom, it would have been much better, but writing all these examples on board again, it will be like cumbersome process, right? So I didn't really want to confuse you, right? Anyways, we're done with this. If you have any specific questions, do let me know. It's more of memory based, as I said. It's more of memory based with all exceptions and all examples. Just underline these points, make a note of them, or underline them at least, so that you can revise them very fast, 5 to 10 minutes maximum before your exam time, right? Yes, and also I discussed one mnemonic, RACE for MS. For exceptions of your lymphatic spread, it's mentioned that all carcinomas spread through lymphatic spread except for sarcomas, and the mnemonic for those sarcomas is RACE for MS, RACE for MS. I'll just stop with this. R for rhabdomyosarcoma, A for angiosarcoma, C for clear cell sarcoma, and E for epithelial sarcoma, M for malignant histosarcoma, and S for synovial sarcoma, right? Yes, we'll do more of basic medical subjects also. Anyways, we'll have tomorrow live session as usual at 5 o'clock, cumulative fashion, where we'll discuss various multiple choice questions in cumulative fashion, right? 5 o'clock, I think it's perfect. It's already 10:24. We'll just break it here. Okay? Yeah. See you 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. And hope you're all following these retrograde schedules. I also hope that we have issues with your uploading online forms and all. Just don't mind, they're going to fix it now or tomorrow, so there's no issue at all. Even if you're not able to fill the form, don't panic. Issue will be sorted, and no one is going to deny you or prevent you from giving exam based on these silly reasons, right? So don't worry, provided you have all the documentation, everything with you, there's nothing really to worry, and that should not add up to your stress. So try to follow the retrograde schedules, follow Mission 60 schedule, whichever is given, or customize it. The most important now is not giving up. Don't give up no matter what happens. Just take a break. If you feel stressed up, relax, and then come again with renewed energy. And if you need any personal assistance, drop a mail, and I'm sure I'm going to give my advice as well, right? So wish you all the best. Love you all. Take care and give your best, and best comes to you. And there is no point in getting demotivated. Remember Nick, so you'll never feel sad for what you have in your life so far, right? So wish you all the best. Bye. Take care. Good night and spokojnoć noć.